Hi again then guys, and welcome to another performance build, a straight line performance build in particular on Horizon 3, and this time we're tuning up a pretty popular vehicle. People seem to have a lot of love for the Ferrari 599. Personally, it's kind of grown on me over the years. My favourite version of the 599 is still the original, to be honest, although the GTO is, of course, desirable for obvious reasons. It's the more hardcore version, it's faster, it's more powerful to begin with, and so when you tune it, logically, it should be even better. Now, this car isn't, to preface the tune, as quick as you'd probably hope it would be. This is not a 270, 275 mile per hour car, as some of the other Ferraris are. Some of the others are quicker than 270. The 458 Speciale, for instance, the 488 GTB. This one isn't as quick as those. You're looking more like 260. So it's not slow, but it's slower than those other two, for instance. Now, I've always considered this car to be a fantastic rival for the Mercedes SLR McLaren. It's got that more long-distance exotic GT style to it, rather than just a simple straight-up mid-engine supercar. And to be honest, I really like it when Ferrari makes front-engine vehicles. Mid-engine Ferraris are always good, you expect them to be, but front-engine ones, to me, always seem a little bit more classy, a bit more special. And of course, my dream car, the Ferrari FF, is one of their best front-engine vehicles. Now, speaking of FF, or four-wheel drive, this car does have all-wheel drive. I would recommend having that. If you're opposed to it, that's fair enough, but I would recommend it. As far as the aspiration, as you can see, I have fitted the twin-turbo. For the visuals, like the wings, the rims, that kind of stuff, it's down to you. I would not recommend the front or rear wing, purely for top-end speed. If you want to have this tune and then add a bit more handling, which will of course reduce speed, then you could fit those wings, but that's not the purpose of this tune. As far as the rest, obviously increase the power as much as you can, lower the weight as much as you can. On this particular build, I haven't fitted the roll cage. You don't really need it. You could fit it if you want to, but it's not entirely necessary. And as with most of my tunes, this is on my storefront, so you can use the keywords down below to find that quickly and easily. Now, speaking of the benchmark, well, we weren't speaking of the benchmark, but we are now. It does 2.1 seconds to 60, or just under. 4.4 to 100, which is pretty impressive. And as I said, the top end speed is around 260, so slow it is not. But the quickest in the game, it is not either. Now, for the gearbox, I would recommend a final drive of 3.6, then individual gears, which will be pretty familiar to anyone who has been on my tunes before. 2.89 for first, then 1.99, 1.49, 1.15, 0.95, and 0.78. Then as far as alignment, of course, neutral camber, neutral toe, unless you specifically want or need to have some for your driving style. Caster I've got on 4 degrees, that happy medium between stiff and loose. Again, depends what you want, and also depends on driving style, very much so. Anti-roll I've rounded off to 25 and 23. Springs we've got on 185 and 230, with the lowest ride height front and rear. The rear ride height on this car is a little bit lower, as you can see, than the front. Personally, I never like that. I don't like exotic cars that have a lower back end than the front. I don't think it looks right. But that's just the way it is for this one. You can of course compensate for that, but again, that's down to you. Dampers we've got on 13, 15, 6 and 7. Aero doesn't apply. And for the diff, again, it will be familiar to anyone who's checked out my other Forza tunes. 100% on acceleration, 0 on decel, but as always, feel free to change that up if you either know what's better for you or just fancy trying something different. And for this car, we've gone very specific, 79% in favour of the rear, and the reason for that is the benchmark numbers. You could go to 80 really, it doesn't make a huge difference in practice, but I just wanted to have nice looking numbers on the benchmark. So as I said, you could go to 80, you could take it down to 75, that's kind of the happy medium for this car. Around 75 gives you, well, the maximum advantage of all-wheel drive without making it overly heavy through the corners. So it depends what you want. So that's it for the tune, which, as I said, you can find on my storefront. But now, as we do these days, let's take it out on the street to see what it can do. Overall, it's kind of ironic that considering that this is one of the fastest Ferraris you can buy in real life, it ends up being one of the slightly slower Ferraris in the game. It's not the slowest, but it's slower, as I mentioned earlier, than some of the others. To say it's slow is very relative, because it's still a 260 mph machine, but overall this is a car which, as I've mentioned with some others, such as the MC12, the Mazda RX-8 and some others, it's more a car specifically for fans rather than for people who are looking purely for the best car, because that it certainly isn't. But what it does offer is great performance for people who love the 599, and at the end of the day, it's not designed to be as fast as physically possible, it's a long-distance GT exotic, so that considered, it's pretty quick. As you can see, top-end performance is strong, but you get up to around 250 pretty easily, and those last few miles per hour take a bit longer. For most scenarios, it's more than quick enough, but as I said, if you're looking for the best car, give it a pass. If you love the 599 though, then by all means, try out the tune, see if you like it. And of course there are plenty more tunes like this on the channel. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.